Vivien Fox was born August 22, 1948. In 1993, he co-founded the notorious nightclub The Viper Room in West Hollywood, California, with actor Johnny Depp. The club is located on Hollywood's Sunset Strip and has a history of being controlled by members of the American Mafia. In the 1940s, it was called the Melody Room and was a gambling and drug den controlled by Bugsy Siegel and his associates. Decades later, it was renamed The Central and was in decline until Fox was approached by Johnny Depp, a rising star in Hollywood. At that time in 1993, Depp's career was taking off, and he would use his celebrity status to turn the Viper Room into the hippest and trendiest nightclub on the Sunset Strip. The club was a hotspot for Hollywood celebrities and gained notoriety when actor River Phoenix died of a drug overdose just outside on Halloween in 1993, just weeks after opening. From the beginning, as in its previous incarnations, the Viper Room was a place where drug dealers flourished. However, authorities in Los Angeles never took action against drug dealers operating out of the Viper Room, allowing them to operate with impunity as they had for decades. Fox and Depp were co-owners and business partners for several years, but in 1999, Fox sued Depp along with several other people over financial problems at the club. The judge in the case ruled that Depp breached his fiduciary duties to the corporation and to Fox. It was found that the club was dealing with fraud, mismanagement, and an abuse of authority. 53-year-old Fox was scheduled to testify and allegedly set to win the case when he strangely vanished on December 19, 2001, shortly before the scheduled court date. He was last seen in Ventura County, California, and had vanished along with his pickup truck and a .38 caliber revolver he owned. On January 6, 2002, his truck was found abandoned on Chestnut Street in Santa Clara, California. He left behind several $1,000s in his bank account, and there hasn't been any activity on his financial account since his disappearance. Meanwhile, Depp moved to France, and soon after, the first of several Pirates of the Caribbean films was released. Over the next couple years, the partners' lawyers quietly settled the case, and in 2004, Depp turned over his share in the nightclub to Fox's daughter, who then resold it. He was reportedly a single parent and deeply loved by his teenage daughter at the time and would not have vanished of his own accord. It is unclear what caused Fox to vanish or whether the Viper Room or the pending litigation had anything to do with his disappearance, but as of today, this case remains unsolved. Tyra Maria Garcia was born February 12, 1970, in Ventura, California, and remained in Ventura, living with her 4 siblings and mother in the Montalvo area. At the age of 15, she was a student at Bueno High School and was described as a sweet and loving girl with common teenage troubles. On May 27, 1985, 15-year-old Tyra and her family came home at 10 p.m. from a family gathering for Memorial Day, and Tyra would leave again about an hour later at 11 p.m. She apparently didn't take anything with her and even left her purse in her bedroom, which she rarely left home without. She told her mom she was going to a friend's house down the street to talk about babysitting for her throughout the weekend. Her mother, Margaret, and her sister, Tanya, watched her walk down the street and into the apartment building where she was going. Tyra was seen about midnight in the alley of her apartment complex talking to 2 Hispanic men in a light brown or tan lowrider car. Witnesses reported that instead of going home, she got into the car with these 2 men. Soon after, she was seen at a nearby 7-Eleven on Bristol Road. The clerk later said he had seen Tyra with the 2 Hispanic men and had watched them leave together in the light brown or tan lowrider car. It was later revealed that the security cameras at the 7-Eleven were not working at the time. Tyra was then seen within that same time frame at a party at Loop's Motel, located about a mile from her home. It was later said that there were over 100 people coming and going from this motel party. She was even witnessed at the party by family members and close friends, but this was the last time she was seen alive. Authorities initially believed that she was a runaway, as she had a history of attendance problems at school and had previously run away from home and even required rehab once. However, her family knew that this wasn't the case this time. Tragically, less than 2 weeks later, on June 7, 1985, two farmers discovered her body along remote Stockton Road in an orange grove at the side of a cliff area northwest of Moorpark, California, wrapped in a blanket. The police and investigators on the case allegedly did not preserve the crime scene, and in fact, they originally reported she had committed suicide. Her family fought this and got that removed, and now the reports say her cause of death is unknown and manner of death is possible homicide. Due to the state of her body, her cause of death could not be determined. Her family states that the coroner did not collect evidence such as nail scrapings, toxicology tests, and many other things. The investigators reportedly closed the case in 3 days after not interviewing her family, but did search her home. There was a composite drawing of the two Hispanic men she was with that night, which is strangely no longer available. Her sister claims that she once saw the sketch, but when she asked the investigators for a copy, they said it did not exist. Authorities agreed foul play was most likely involved, but toyed with the idea that her death was the result of a possible accident covered up by frightened acquaintances. Although Tyra would be 52 years old now if her life wasn't taken, she will always be 15 in the eyes of her loved ones, and as of today, this case remains unsolved. Shawn Tyler Dickerson was born November the 11th, 1988 in Ceres, California. At the age of 2, he sadly lost his father in a tragic motorcycle accident. Shawn would later attend high school in Modesto, California. At the age of 23, Shawn moved from his hometown of Ceres, California, to San Francisco to an apartment on 22nd Street and Bartlett Street, which he shared with 5 other people. He was saving money so he could move to New York with his friend Anjali Droll. He played keyboard and was a member of Phi, a local band that performed around town. He had also changed his name to Klaus Agnes, the names of 2 artists he liked. About 6 months later, on December 2, 2011, he had stayed up talking to 2 of his roommates until 4 a.m. He woke up at 11 a.m. and left in a hurry, saying he was late for work. He worked at Rollo, a men's clothing store on Market Street, but he never arrived that day. He had actually been fired from Rollo hours earlier, but had not told his roommates and only confided in a neighbor of his. He was let go after going to lunch and not returning to finish his shift. He had ignored calls from his boss until late that night when he replied to apologize, and his boss told him he didn't want to work with him if he could not be relied upon. Instead of going to Rollo on the day of his disappearance, he went for a walk, taking various pictures of his shoes, the bay, and a meal he had. At 4:02 p.m., he posted 16 pictures on his Facebook account, something he had never done before. Strangely, he has not been seen since that day. His ex-girlfriend stated he had left all his belongings behind in his room, including the heavy jacket he would have normally taken if he planned to go far. Although he was never diagnosed with a mental disorder, his family and friends reported that he had a tendency to disconnect from reality. However, his loved ones do not believe him losing his job would have seriously upset him enough to harm himself. Shawn is one of 5 missing young men from San Francisco, known as the California Five, who went missing from 2010 to 2013. The families of the missing have since bonded over their experiences. To this day, Shawn has never been found, and this case remains unsolved. Kayla Reed was born September 21, 1990, to Trent Reed and Angel Sheets. As a young teen, she lived in a townhouse in Livermore, California, with her mother Angel in the Springtown neighborhood. At the age of 15, Kayla was a freshman at Livermore High School and enjoyed hip-hop music and had plans to become a cosmetologist once she graduated from school. She spent a lot of time on the computer, particularly MySpace, and was described as shy and reserved at school, but had a tumultuous relationship with her mother Angel. According to her mother, on December 2, 2005, a little after midnight, 15-year-old Kayla told her she was going to bed, but her mother became suspicious because she still had on a good bit of makeup and no pajamas. Therefore, she and Kayla had an argument because she suspected she had plans to sneak out that night to meet up with friends. The following morning, Kayla was nowhere to be found. By 10:30 a.m., her mother called police to report her missing. Detectives showed up at Angel's home shortly after she reported her missing, but when they knocked on the door, Angel did not answer. She later stated that she fell asleep and did not hear the detectives knocking on the door. Many speculate that she very well could have passed out from coming down off methamphetamines in order to speak to police. Despite this, she waited 2 days before contacting the police again and filing an official missing persons report for Kayla. Angel would tell detectives about her suspicions about Kayla sneaking out the night she vanished, and due to this, Kayla was classified as a runaway. She told investigators that the morning she discovered Kayla gone, she called Kayla's best friend to ask if she knew where Kayla was. Suspiciously though, upon checking the phone records, there was no record that that call ever took place. Detectives initially focused on Kayla's MySpace page in the early stages of the investigation, as it was theorized that Kayla might have met up with somebody that she had met on the site. However, that theory never panned out, as investigators could not find any evidence that Kayla was corresponding with anyone unknown on the site, plus she didn't even own a cell phone. Then, about 5 weeks later, on January 10, 2006, Kayla's body was found in the Delta Mendota Canal in a rural area of San Joaquin County. An autopsy was unable to determine her cause of death, or either the reason is being held from the public, but it was reportedly clear that she had been murdered around the time she went missing. She was found near the border of Stanislaus County, although it is not clear where she might have entered the water which flows south. She was identified after a forensic odontologist compared a picture of her with the remains, and a recent x-ray confirmed a rib anomaly on her body. A year and a half after Kayla's body was found, investigators announced that Kayla's mother, Angel, was a person of interest in the murder, along with Angel's friend, Dennis Murphy. Throughout the investigation, detectives learned that Angel and Dennis were the last known people to have seen Kayla alive. Both Angel and Dennis also gave conflicting stories. Angel originally stated that she was the only other person in the house on the evening of December 2nd. Later, she admitted that Dennis had come over that night to do meth. Angel said that before she went to bed that night, she asked Dennis to keep an eye on Kayla in case she tried to sneak out. When Angel woke up the next morning, she said that both Kayla and Dennis were gone. Dennis, on the other hand, admitted to going to Angel's house on the evening of December 2nd, but he told police that he left when Angel and Kayla began to argue. He said that he had returned to Angel's house the following morning and discovered Angel upset and Kayla gone. The day prior to this statement, however, he told investigators that he had not seen Kayla for at least 2 weeks before she disappeared. One report states that he admitted going to their home to use meth on December 2nd, but he fell asleep while watching after Kayla and that she was gone when he woke up. Despite their conflicting statements, neither Angel nor Dennis have been charged with anything related to Kayla's death. Dennis initially volunteered to take a polygraph test, but changed his mind. Angel took a polygraph test on February 22nd and was asked if she helped anyone take Kayla from the apartment and if she tried to cover up any physical evidence that night. Police said her answers were indicative of deception. Kayla's numerous aunts and uncles and her biological father, Trent, who only met Kayla less than 10 times, have also spoken with the media, with some blaming Angel's lifestyle for Kayla's death. Despite having 11 various criminal charges between 2006 and 2011, Angel was only sentenced 3 of those 11 times. She said she was devastated about her daughter's death and described their relationship as normal. Kayla's father stated that he didn't believe Angel had anything to do with Kayla's death. A comment found online from just 2 months ago from an alleged ex-girlfriend of Dennis's claims that he very well could have done this and that Kayla was found in an area that is a known fishing spot of his. No one has ever been arrested for her murder, and as of today, this case remains unsolved. Anne Sang Thi Pham was born in 1976 and was one of 10 children. In 1975, before Anne was born, her family were refugees escaping Vietnam by boat. They were somewhere out at sea when the U.S. Navy intercepted them and brought them to the United States. Anne would be born over a year later in Beaumont, Texas. She was named after St. Anne's Catholic Church, who had sponsored the family. Her father would later move them from Texas to Seaside, California, so that he could provide a better life for his family by using his skills as an experienced fisherman. In 1982, Ann was a kindergartner at Highland Elementary School and was described as a shy, independent, and a sensitive little girl. Her mother always walked Ann to school, but on January 21st, 1982, 5-year-old Ann convinced her mother and older brother to let her walk to school alone. It was raining that morning, but her school was only 3 blocks away from their home in Seaside. Her mother granted Ann's wish and let her go off to school alone. Sadly, Ann never made it to school, and her family would report her missing. 2 days later, Army investigators were looking for a marijuana growing operation in the brush outside the Fort Ord Army base. They stumbled upon Ann's body on base near a shooting range in a wooded area just off Boundary Road, about 1 mile from her elementary school. Evidence was collected and preserved from the crime scene, and an autopsy revealed she had been assaulted and asphyxiation was the cause of death. Local and federal authorities worked tirelessly to find justice for Ann and her family, but the case would go cold. In 2022, 40 years later, police reopened her case and sent evidence in for DNA testing. Both of her parents have since passed away, but her surviving siblings are hopeful that investigators will uncover the truth behind their sister's death. No one has ever been arrested in Ann's case, and as of today, it remains unsolved.